there were more voters identified in Georgia than any other state who didn't live in Georgia but yet cast the vote there. And that maps on top of Georgia having the largest military installation in the country in the form of Fort Benning. So,
so like Mike, do you believe when Ken says that? Do you think Ken's confused? Do you think Ken's lying? Because he was paid to find this stuff by the Trump campaign.
Well, I got $30 million in this, David. I paid a little money out too, and here's what we did.
In this episode, we've got Mike Lindell, aka Mike Pillow, going off the rails again with another election fraud tantrum. He's tossing around those same old debunked claims about voting machines, dead voters, and some sort of deep state plot. But this time, he's facing off against David Pakman and election fraud expert Ken Block, who are not about to let him slide so easily. As Lindell spirals into greater incoherence, Pakman and Block expertly dismantle his baseless assertions. So stick around until the end to see how an unhinged Mike Pillow gets thoroughly exposed by David Pakman and a seasoned fraud expert.
I didn't concentrate on Georgia overturning any election. This has been 3 years where we're going, we need to get rid of the electronic voting machines, the computers. Here's what we did. Pick a county, pick any county. I'll pick Carver County, my county. We had canvassers go out. We got the voter rolls from the county, who voted, who was put on the voter rolls, and who voted in the election. We went out and it said, it was usually 6 people or more that said lived in a house. Now, I've lived here all my life. We went down, the canvassers go down, they knock on Amy Schultz or whatever, her house, and say, Amy, you're living here by yourself. It says 7 people here voted. Well, then we look at the names. She goes, no, it's just been me, like always. And we take the 6 people that voted. Now we investigate them. 4 of them live in another state. 2 of them are deceased, okay? So then we take those 4 and we reach out to them. Did you vote here? No. No, they did not vote there. The people, we contact the people. This is called canvassing, to physically back up what the data is saying. And the data says they voted in that county or that state. I'm not here to tell you something to overturn an election. I'm here to tell you when you
and no one's brought that up at least yet, Mike.
Right.
Mike, in terms of the view that Ken is presenting, though, like, do you think Ken's just wrong, or he is incompetent and couldn't find the fraud you claim exists? Like, what do you hear when Ken says this?
This has took me 3 years, and we also have a lot of other data to back this up. Under the Freedom of Information Act, we were able to get the cast vote records, which come out of the machines for 1/3 of the United States. So we take the cast vote records, we take the canvassing, the on-ground canvassing, and then we take the voter rolls and we combine all 3, and they all 3 match. No, but the only thing that they match, but the people didn't commit crime. The people didn't go, I'm going to go vote twice. That's not true. You're going to have that. But these is at a massive scale, using names with the dirty voter rolls, like Wisconsin has 7.2 million names on their voter rolls. And if every registered voter voted in Wisconsin, it's 4.1 million. Why do they need those other 3 million names?
And then Mike Lindell's fraud claims just implode right there. His so-called proof? It's these random canvassers going door to door, stumbling upon outdated voter rolls, and then just assuming it's all fraud. But here's the kicker. Outdated registration doesn't automatically translate to fake votes. A ton of people, particularly from places like Fort Benning, they're voting absentee, totally legally. His whole Georgia spiel? Complete nonsense. He's twisting things up. And don't even get me started on Wisconsin. He's out there claiming fraud because active names are on the rolls, ignoring the fact they can't vote without showing up. That's how it's supposed to work. It's not fraud. Then Lindell shifts gears, ranting about how we should hand count ballots. But Ken Block cuts right through that, laying out how hand counting is not only slower and less accurate, but also a total logistical nightmare. David Pakman and Ken Block just rip through Lindell's arguments, and by the end, Mike Lindell is just standing there, looking completely ridiculous.
Okay, that's a good specific question, Mike. That's a good specific question, Mike. Ken, do you think Mike believes this stuff, or do you think Mike's confused?
Oh, I'm confident Mike fully believes this stuff. I mean, he has put his money where his mouth is. I don't think anybody can claim that Mike doesn't fully believe in what he's talking about. So for that reason alone, I give him credit for his conviction for sure. Again, I'm trying to flow as we sort of jump from
it's hard to do
one
so,
thing to another, but what I'd like, and I'm just trying to pick the thing that I think will have the most impact as we talk.
Yeah.
I like to talk about electronic voting machines at a high level for a minute. Yes, if you don't protect yourself, you leave yourself open to either external forces hacking those machines or somebody slipping some code in there potentially to alter the count itself, right? There's some nefarious computer hacking things that you can do. There are plenty of protective steps that you can take to minimize and eliminate the possibilities for that. I turn to the casino industry to look for that. You have slot machines, which are individual computers, and I do a lot of work with the gaming industry. You can absolutely ironclad protect yourself from ensuring that the wrong software is not running in your slot machines and making other people rich who are just know how to game the system. You have no proof and there's no realistic outcome where a hand count is going to be more accurate than a machine count. And I'm just going to let's just talk about Maricopa County in Arizona, because that's been the punching bag for a lot of this.
Yep.
There's about 1.5 million votes cast in Maricopa in 2020. Each ballot that gets cast in Arizona has anywhere from 10, 20, maybe 30 different races on it. So imagine trying to hand count 30 million different vote tallies from a 1.5 million ballots. It's a monumental effort, one that's almost certainly going to lead to errors because human beings can't do a repetitive process like that in general anywhere near as capably and dependably as a computer to do it.
Well, let's ask Mike if he even would concede that. I'm curious, Mike, do you agree that the machines in general are more accurate at counting than people?
And now, Mike Lindell totally loses his cool when Pakman and Ken Block call out his BS. Ken breaks it down real simple. Voting machines are way more reliable than hand counts. He compares them to casino security tech that's all about stopping cheats. And Lindell? He's got nothing. Just spins back to his usual deep state conspiracy tales. Then Ken Block totally shreds Lindell's dream of hand-counting votes. Picture this. Maricopa County, 1.5 million votes, multiple races. Do the math. That's about 30 million things to count by hand. It's a logistical nightmare, man. Machines are just plain more precise. But Mike Lindell won't have it. When David Pakman presses him on whether machines are more accurate than humans, Lindell just denies the obvious, straight up rejecting reality. At this point, he's just making a fool of himself. Pakman and Block totally demolish his points, and Lindell ends up just clinging to conspiracy theories.
I have met with UK officials, France, Belgium, Germany, the Netherlands, met with them all, and we devised the best hand counting system in the world. It was used in Osage County, Missouri in an actual election 2 years ago. Democrats, Republicans working together. We got done at the same time with the machines with 100% accuracy. Now, Argentina last summer, a judge ruled there, finally said, hey, we got to go to paper ballots, hand counted. They can flip their country over, and they did it in 4 months, faster than the Netherlands would. Took 5 months. And Taiwan just did it. Ecuador just did it. All these countries have outlawed machines, computers around the world. The Philippines, they've all outlawed them. We just had, and when you talk about, he's using Maricopa County for an example, in the Kerry Lake race, remember, 242 machines went down at the same time, and that was impossible. They're not tied to the internet, so how could they all go down at the same time with the same exact problem? You watched in Georgia this last fall, an Obama-appointed judge, the curling case, 3.5 years went on. She finally said, you know what? These experts that looked inside these machines say there's problems. We're going to let this case go forward. Haldeman hacked in with a ballpoint pen into the machine and flipped the election, and it's still pending in court right now in Georgia. So you have all these examples.
Mike, there's so much that you're dumping on us that it's hard to keep up with each one of the claims. Even Republicans in Maricopa, to my knowledge, were satisfied that no one was disenfranchised. But like, Ken, how do you deal with when Mike goes, they all went down, disconnected from the internet, it's all crazy?
So I would ask, have you looked at what it would take to turn Maricopa County into a hand count county?
Absolutely, we have. We've looked at every place in the United States. Remember, we had that prior to 2000. This is what we had, Ken. You don't know what goes on to those black boxes that are sitting there. We just want a fair election in our community, no matter what that is.
A hand count wouldn't stop somebody from voting somewhere where they don't live.
Yeah, absolutely, but it would stop for a computer where one guy can press and change millions of votes or tens of thousands of votes.
But that wasn't the argument you were making for what took place, though, Mike. That wasn't the argument you were making.
100%. I'm saying that people didn't do this. It was done with computers. You understand that, David? I'm saying this was the uniparty, deep state, globalist, CCP. People want to know who did this, okay? And yes, it was computers that were used.
It was computers, okay.
And after all that chaos, Lindell just completely loses it, throwing out wild claims about hand counting, foreign governments banning machines, and even some bizarre deep space CCP conspiracy. But David Pakman and Ken Block are right there to repeatedly demonstrate that Mike's arguments are totally off the rails. Hand counts? They're just way too slow, far less accurate, and completely impractical in modern times, especially in a big place like Maricopa County. And for all his ranting, Lindell can't prove even a single fraudulent vote that would have changed the outcome of the election. If you enjoyed watching this breakdown, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below.